but will ensure that the sky delivers that which they promised to the ground. And the esteemed members of parliament are representing different regions. Some of us are not present today because we are on recess, but we are over 20 members of parliament who have dedicated their lives. They have agreed, they want to toil and moil, and they will never sit on their hands to see Kenyans suffer. Today we are here across the country, representing the interest of the aged also across the country. From the Western region, Busia County, Honorable Catherine Omanyo, also representing the interest of Kenyans across this nation. We're also here with Honorable Amo from Starehe, Amos Mwago. Amo ndio best, ukienda huko Starehe hivyo ndio anaitwa, representing constituents from Nairobi County, representing Kenyans from within the nation. And we have a presser. Each member of parliament here will be given an opportunity to speak about issues, the state of the nation, matters affecting Kenyans, the issues of concern. We have a presser that I will read, then after that we'll give an opportunity to every member to say a word. Now we have apologies from some members of parliament. Mheshimiwa Kibagendi from Kisii County. We have an apology from Mheshimiwa CNN Charles Nguna, representing the Eastern region. We have an apology from Wanami, all the way from Bumula, Bungoma County. We have an apology from Mheshimiwa Umi. We have an apology from Mheshimiwa Mwenje, Nairobi County. We have an apology from Mheshimiwa Caleb Amisi. We have an apology from Mheshimiwa Kibagendi. We have an apology from Mheshimiwa Basil and other Waheshimiwas, from Mheshimiwa Ledama Olekina, and we also have an apology from Senator Eddie Okech. So we will read this, and we'll also give you a way forward on how we will be working as Team Ground moving forward. Our fellow citizens, let me once more start by expressing my solidarity with the Kenyan youth and families who have lost their lives, sustained injuries, been abducted, or whose loved ones are still missing to date following the protests by the young people of Kenya who have been calling for good governance of their country. We are making this address in response to the many phone calls, text messages, social media uproar, and direct requests to us by distressed Kenyans who feel the political class has abandoned them after the recent constitution of a new cabinet by President Ruto. Number one, after suffering for many years because of bad politics, poor governance, corruption, and incompetence in the management of the affairs of their country, the GENZs and millennials of Kenya came out in large numbers to exercise their Article 37 rights to assemble, demonstrate, picket, and petition their leaders. In this bold move, they outlined the issues they wanted the president to address to reduce their suffering and to create opportunities for them. After withdrawing the draconian Finance Bill 2024 and dissolving his incompetent cabinet, President Ruto promised that he would engage in an open national dialogue to listen and get the issue at stake with young Kenyans before forming another cabinet. But in a show of contempt to the young people, we saw the president announce and put in place a new cabinet without any consultation with the GENZs and millennials of this country. He has since held no dialogue or any engagement to ascertain the problems that led to the recent protests. Fellow Kenyans, before any grass has grown on the fresh graves of our youth recently killed, before people who were badly wounded in the protest have healed, and while so many families are still searching for their loved ones who were abducted by state agents, we have been shocked to see President Ruto return to his default mode of shuttling from one country to another and on working from the top of vehicles, apparently launching invisible government projects. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to send a message to President Ruto in very simple but clear terms, as the GENZs and millennials of Kenya have sent us to tell him that the young people of Kenya feel you are showing them contempt by ignoring all their issues and reverting to business as usual mode, while they are hurting from the burdens imposed on them by the failures of your bad policies. The young people are not happy with the fact that you have refused to offer compensation for the families whose loved ones were shot and killed by the police on the instructions of your agents. The young people are unhappy that you have refused to pay for the medical expenses of the people who were wounded by the police. The GENZs and millennials of Kenya are unhappy because you have refused to free the youth who were abducted by the police. And you have refused to drop the trumped-up charges against the peaceful demonstrators who went to the streets to ask for good governance of their country. The young people are shocked that you have refused to drop the new funding model of college and university education, which is forcing them to drop out of college. The young people are asking you to show them the practical steps you are taking to create jobs in Kenya to pull them out of this high unemployment. Mr. President, the young people are asking you to take immediate action to lower the high cost of living that is driving them crazy. The young people of Kenya are asking that you show them the reforms you are proposing to address corruption and looting of government resources by people who are under your direct supervision. They are asking that you show them the reforms you are undertaking to improve the competence and quality of your bureaucracy to enable the government to be responsive in service delivery and development. Mr. President, it is a matter of just a few months and another Finance Bill 2025 will be facing Kenyans again. The young people of Kenya are worried that on March 2025 will find them with no change at all, and they will be forced back to the streets to protest poor governance and poor policies and to reject the Finance Bill 2025. As a youthful leader in this country, together with other youthful leaders and other leaders, we want to appeal to you in a special way that you take your time off the top of your vehicles and sit down with your top advisors, including your new cabinet, and review and change the bad policies that your administration unleashed on Kenyans for the last 2 financial years. Kindly consider the welfare of the children of this country. Please engage the youth in this country and show them that you care for them. Take practical steps to demonstrate that you have the interests of the youth of Kenya at heart before you revert to your default mode of stating in public things that you don't mean and you don't intend. Mr. President, walk the talk. Swing, don't sing. As a Christian, we say you do not do what you say in order to restore the vital trust that should exist between the people and their government. We want to remind you of the words of J.F. Kennedy, that those who make peaceful revolutions impossible make violent revolutions inevitable. Do not tempt the young people of Kenya too much. They have given you a break to reassess your priorities and get things right. They are shocked that you can't get anything right. And lastly, I want to say that should you fail to deliver to Kenyans, There's only one person that I know that will be easily defeated in 2027. Defeating you, Mr. Ruto, in 2027 will be easier than reciting vowels. Any living thing that is capable of locomoting or moving from one place to the other will defeat you in 2027. Even if you take a goat and dress the goat and put it on the ballot, will defeat you in 2027. Thank you and God bless you. Let me take this opportunity to give Mheshimiwa Mudhoni. Sorry, Gadoni. I'm used to my wife's name. She's called Mudhoni. Gadoni Wamuchomba to address you.
I'm happy to hear I'm in good books. I'm in good books in your house.
You're in my heart.
The next preference. Thank you very much, my colleague and friend, Honorable Babu Owino. Mine is to just add weight to what statement we have issued as Team Ground. And I want to be a little bit more assertive on matters life. You all know that we have had very many conflicting reports coming through on how many young people who are protesting in the streets were abducted, how many were killed, how many are still missing, how many cases have been processed by IPOA, and I'm sure you know that no agency is giving us information that is matching with the other. We have had engagement with Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, and we have their report here. And the report that this agency is giving us is that they have registered 61 people, young people who protested and died. And their bodies have been located in many mortuaries in this country, ranging from Narok, Nakuru, City Mortuary, Nairobi, Kakamega, Eldoret, Isebania, Thika, Nanyuki, Eldoret, Kapsabet, Rongo, Kasarani, Embu, Homa Bay, Kisumu, Nyeri PGH, Nyahururu Hospital, Bungoma County Hospital, Kakamega Hospital, Kitengela, Kenyatta National Hospital Mortuary, and Mulolongo, and Kiambu Uplands Funeral Home. Now, according to Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, these people died out of excesses of the Kenyan Police Service. The IPOA, the statutory body that is supposed to be oversighting the activities of the Kenya National Police Service, have indicated that they have picked up their own investigations. And according to them, they only have registered 50 people who died, not 61 that we have received from Kenya National Commission on Human Rights. And out of the 50 cases IPOA has registered, they have also registered 19 people who are abducted or reported abducted and missing. But out of all those cases, IPOA has only been able to process 4 files and submitted those files to the DPP. Out of the 4 files, 3 were returned to them because they were not done properly and there was no evidence. They have only been able to successfully submit 1 file. Now, this is my concern and our concern as parents, and I'm sure this is a concern even for many parents who are following us. It cannot be that a country that is governed by the rule of law, over 61 people dead, and only 1 case can be accounted for. Yet we have seen 2 foreigners missing somewhere in the boundaries between Kenya and Ethiopia. And we have seen the IG and the acting IG and the DCI personally go to that area to locate 2 foreigners who are apparently missing. But we cannot locate the 19 cases IPOA has registered as abducted cases. Does it mean that foreigners are more important than Kenyans? Are we still being governed by the rule of law? Are we still following the fundamentals of human rights protection as enshrined by the Kenyan Constitution? So for me as a mother, representing many mothers and many fathers of this country, we want to echo our complaint, our dissatisfaction with the processes that the government of Kenya has put in place to provide accountability for the protesters who were abducted and those that were killed. The president is on record saying that his government is going to come up with a program for compensation, to compensate the families that lost their loved ones, to compensate the families of those that have patients in the wards and some patients at home. And we have not seen any effort by the government to even come out and tell us, now that this has happened and 2 months are gone, this is what we are going to do as a government. So we want to call upon the new Minister of Health, who has just been sworn in. We want to call upon the Ministry of Interior, now that we have the cabinet minister already approved and vetted and sworn in. You must come out and tell Kenyans how you are going to start off the process of compensation, taking care of those that are still in hospitals, and making sure that their rights are not violated and their dignity has been upheld. On matters to do with education, funding for universities and colleges, as a member of parliament, I have received a lot of messages from the young people. They feel like the government of Kenya has abandoned the young people. There is no straight communication coming from the government on how the new funding model is going to salvage the lives of so many young people who are stranded in homes, expected to report to colleges and universities. We are requesting the government to come out very clearly and give out a clear guideline. We are only seeing some letters flying in the social media, but nobody is doing a presser like this to address this issue and explain to the young people. You cannot treat young people like they are second-class citizens of this country. This is the future of this country, and you are no longer going to assume the young people of Kenya the way we have done. So we are requesting and demanding, let us demand because I think it's our right, that the minister in charge of education must come out very, very boldly and tell us the way forward on matters to do university, funding, and colleges, and assure those students that are still at home that there is hope for them to resume school and there is hope for them to progress with their careers. Thank you very much. I want to invite my sister, the lovely Catherine Omanyo, to say something.
Mimi nitaongea Kiswahili. Juu kila mtu anabonga hapa kimombo. Nataka kuelezea wananchi wa Kenya kwamba hatukuangukia mkono mzuri kupata president kama Ruto. Hapa awali amekuwa busy anarandaranda Tokyo, Japan, sijui Japan ndio wapi, Tokyo ni wapi. Kila saa ako kwa hewa. I think hiyo ndio adventure anapenda, hobby. Ilikuwa inaitwa hobby tukisoma at what are your hobbies. Because saa hii namuona tu juu ya maprado kila saa akirandaranda. Vitu serious zikitendeka simuoni akienda huko. You can see where his heart is. Kujionesha ma-PR mingi. Briefcase projects ndio anasema ame-launch. Lakini kitu yenye napeana impact kwa mwananchi wa Kenya aseme walai tuko na president na nusu, hakuna. Juzi toi hapa imeungua, hakushughulika. Hata kusema tu poleni, nothing. Hata huko Kware mili zinachomolewa kule. Kitu yenye hata singeangalia na macho na nyamaza na lilia kwa moyo nikisema what is this really in Kenya, ama ninasoma tu vitu kwa newspapers. Hakushughulika. Lakini akisikia kadili utamuona kwa jet ya 200 million yenye tungejenga ka industry hata kule kwetu huko na Mbale ya Jinari. Tuna very good weather ya kupanda cotton. Lakini trips zake tu moja pekee inaweza jenga Jinari. Na angeamua every 6 months kajinari kamewekwa mahali. The 47 counties sasa tungekuwa na vitu zinaandika our young people. But hiyo hana, kichwa ngumu, kiburi, majivuno. Ni vizuri majenzi wameshekesheke watu hapo, tunaona at least siku hizi wameanza kutuangalia kama watu na uoga fulani. But mtu ujificha tu temporarily. Character real tulishaiona ilitoka. So ni jukumu letu sisi wenye tuko kivyetu, wenye walielektiwa, wenye pia walitu elect, kuhakikisha that we do not even one moment get duped, because that is how we get duped, that now things are working and then before you know it you're dumped. Just like a sly man, he can tell you are the only fish in Lake Victoria. If you are a fool, you'll believe. So this is Ruto. We are not going to listen to the narratives again, and we will not relent. I'm so happy that as you listen, even in the corridors, in parliament, how people, the real them when they talk, that president is on his own. Even people who are getting there, that they are going to help, they know very well that that ship is sinking. And even if they are patriots, they will try to help him swim out. But it is a tall order. Reality is, hata watoto wetu ya university wenye wanatakana kwenda university wenye wamesema hakuna haja, watadifaa, wataruka, and then waone vile in future kutakuwa. You know, why postpone a life? We live today. Tuachane na hiyo vitu at new model, tutaki kizungu mingi. Hiyo help ilikuwa inasaidia. Mtu kama mimi, I didn't have a daddy, I didn't have a godfather, but things kama help hizo zilikam through. Sahi ninaweza jidai hata mimi nilifika university nilisoma because of that. So if it worked, what has happened for them to start now saying no, we need a new model? No. Hao watu ni masonko, wana anything, wanaweza hata leta lecturers kwa their rooms, bedrooms kufundishia watoto wao kwa pilo. But wale hawana hiyo, tuachiwe hiyo old model ya help. Mtoto aende shule, alafu help ita come through, alafu kuna vile tu life ukuja, vitu zinaingiana. So tutaki everything new, mara CBC, mara nini, everything new, ma belts, ma jackets, za crocodile. We are not interested. Sisi tunataka kitu yenye mwanafunzi, mwananchi, akuwe Wanjiku, akuwe ule wataita wapi, at least in a day, basic needs anaweza afford. Hawataki kuishi paka pia wakuwe na majets. But two basic needs, if somebody today cannot afford, then why are you proud to be a president? At least if he's not listening, mimi nimemwambia muende mumtumie TikTok, muweke kwa space, wherever it is, that we are not going to sit back and look at him with his new narratives every day. Thank you.
Invite Mheshimiwa
na invite last born hapa, Mheshimiwa Mwago. Mtu ako farm, hataki kujua.
Nairobi solid.
Okay, thank you so much, members of the fourth estate. I stand with Team Ground in denouncing the activities of the president and how he's tried to address the challenges that were raised by the Generation Z and the millennials and generally the people of Kenya. I don't understand why he got his wisdom from by bringing us a political solution to an economic problem and a social and injustice problem. The GENZs were not on the streets to have a new cabinet or a new set of cabinet CSS. The GENZs put out their issues clearly, but he failed by a mile, he missed by a mile by what he provided as a solution. We want to tell him, as the young people of this country, as a young leader, I'm a leader who came to parliament to bring change to this country. I didn't come to be bribed or to get money or to solicit money from this government. I came so that we can have a future for the young people of this nation, for this country to have systems that will work, for this country to address the issues of corruption that's so rampant in this government, for this country to have a social justice system that will work. You can see by his activities the neglect that he had on the Article 37 of the Constitution, the brutality and excessive use of force on protesters. Yet we say we have a constitution that we respect, that clearly outlines Article 37 as the guiding principle on how people should address the government, how people should protest against, how the people should talk to the government. But we saw what happened. It really defeats me to imagine that this country we've lost value for life. We are talking about more than 50 people who have been killed, who lost their lives, and we are treating this casually, like nothing happened. If you go to the DCI, we went there with Loyalty Ndomolo, we had very scant information on the issues of abductions, or the issue of these people who have been killed, and these are lives that have been lost by a government that's purposed to protect the lives of its people. We've seen a lot of property that was lost. Some houses were burnt even in town, but the government has not addressed that. They have swept that under the carpet, and they expect us to just let them be and this to go on. We cannot agree, and we cannot allow the government to behave like that, because if it behaves like this, it is going to kill our future and our children. The GENZs have come out clearly and they have outlined their problems. We are asking the government of the day, come out and tell us what measures are you putting in place to address the issue of unemployment. We are having like 1 million students who are going to clear form for this year. Every year we are having a very high turnover of GENZs. What measures have you put in place to address their issue? The current cabinet that you announced, we don't make anything of it. We don't see if they are able to come up with solutions for the challenges of this nation. So sisi tunamwambia Bwana Rais, tafadhali sikiza watu, calm down, look for new advisors. Whatever you are doing is far away from what the people are asking for. Kindly try and calm down and listen to this youth. These are the future of this nation, and the best thing is, this is a generational thing. One day it will come to happen. The hopes of the people of this nation, lazima siku moja watu watakuja wapatiwe heshima. And I don't know where history judge you. Labda utafukuzwa ama utapelekwa jela kwa sababu ya hii makosa unafanya. Tafadhali sikiza watu and deal with real issues that these people have raised. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody with questions? We will take about maybe 3 or so, or maybe we can take 4 so that each can respond to a question. Let's start with the lady. You have to speak louder.
Thank you so much. My name is right from the county dialects. I have 2 questions. One concerning the ultimatum that the GENZs have given us through the platform. On 27th of August, we will be signing a petition to dissolve the parliament and to chase all the parliamentary out. I think this is the second time now that targeting the parliament. Will you be part of that petition? And also the same day will also be occupying the Supreme Court. Will you be part of the same of that petition also occupying the Supreme Court was sitting down? Then secondly, from the interview of Kumekucha to the citizen, he said there will be no 2027 election. Election will be before that. What's your point?
Okay. Next question. I'm sure you're noting that.
Yeah.
Her name?
Wafula.
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 Then we'll go to you.
Eric from Citizen Radio.
Eric.
Since the broad-based government that was formed has killed the magnitude and the vigor of the protest, I don't know, as young parliamentarians, what do you have in place as the alternative to tackle or to push harder the government in your 3 months?
Okay. Thank you, Eric. The one in glasses.
Thank you. Yeah. Edwin from Daily Monitor. I have 2 questions. It's clear that you obviously do not seem to stand with the cabinet secretaries, some of whom are in parties that like ODM, which a person like Babu was in support of. So your message to these cabinet secretaries, do you support them joining the administration, and what remedy do you think? You have made it clear that you don't think they will be of any help to this administration. So what advice do you give them if at all they have joined a sinking ship? And the second question is pointing at something to do with the Wanjigi story that was mentioned here. What's your take as Team Ground that an administration can go after the family of people who actually point fingers at what should be done better as a party, as leaders?
Okay.
What's your take?
I guess those are how many? 4?
Yes.
4? Can we do the 4 or you have a pressing one?
Yes.
Okay.
Given the unity deal between ODM and Kenya, are you worried this supermajority issue, especially in Parliament, is going to stifle voices like you? For example, we have heard the President say some sections of the finance bill will be returned to the House. What do you think about that? And will you be supporting it?
Very well.
So.
How do you want us to do
So.
about it? I can answer that one of Parliament.
Okay. So you
The
can.
one for cabinet ministers.
Parliament.
Okay. Good.
CSS.
CSS. Parliament.
I'll talk about
We're killing the vigor.
the vigor. Okay, so I can. Okay, fine. Just start
Okay.
then. Just start.
Ningelipenda kusema kwamba mtu yeyote ambaye alijoin government, hata kama alikuwa ODM na akajoin huko, although article 232 inakubalia president kuchagua mtu yeyote kufanya naye kazi, hatutazubaa tu kuangalia wana west wa Kenya just because walitoka upande wa huku kwetu. So waende huko wakijua kwamba walienda kufanyia wananchi kazi, na kama hatutaona anything wanafanya pia tena watoke tu. Cha pili, president wetu ni kama ndio referee wa elected leaders wa kichapana. Huko Kisii mliona kitu ilitendeka. Yeye ameenda pale, watu wanabu huyu anabu huyu, ako pale ako kama referee. So hao wenye wameenda huko kama CS kusaidia, waone hiyo weakness na wamsaidie kufanya kazi. So we will not relent, we will not smile with anyone who has joined the government and is going to joke again and waste Kenyans' lives.
Thank you. You'll answer which one?
Yeah.
Okay, broad-based.
On that issue that you've raised about the broad-based arrangement that has maybe stifled the vigor of this protest and what, we like to urge Kenyans, or the GENZs, the millennials, let us not relent in this fight. Let us make sure we push this fight on, because there's no solution that has been offered as yet. So as young leaders, we are going to make sure we engage the public and point out all the evils that are happening in some of these bills that are brought in Parliament, these motions, what we think Kenyans should not support. But we're also thankful that the Kenyan people now are taken back the power in their own hands. We passed the finance bill by the people's power, led to rejection in totality by the president. So these are some of the avenues or other approaches that we're going to give more information to the public and seek their support in pushing for the agenda. As young parliament, as young leaders, we need to get this information out there to the people so that they can support us. Even if they have a majority in parliament, we saw the majority is now on the ground, on the streets, and that is the approach that we are going to use. Thank you.
I think Mheshimiwa Amo has addressed that very well. If I want to talk about the unity of ODM and Kenya Kwanza and having a super majority, and in combination with the question that was asked by Eric on the broad-based government that has killed the vigor of the demonstrations, I want to tell you that in Parliament there was already a super majority that passed the finance bill. But that did not prevent the GENZs. It did not prevent Ruto from coming out and rejecting after pressure had been pressed on him by the people. The constitution is clear that power vests with the people. The sovereignty is with the people. The people are supreme. That supermajority in parliament is not a supermajority. It is an imaginary supermajority that is intended to achieve some selfish gains or ambitions. And therefore, one person with God is the majority. But now here we have a few people in parliament, members of parliament, team ground, together with the GENZs, with the millennials, with other Kenyans. That is even more than a super majority. And that is what we need. We don't need any other supermajority in parliament. And number two, our voices will always be heard in parliament, irrespective of our numbers. Why? Because sometimes it's not about winning the war, but it is about being at the battlefield, registering your presence in the battlefield. Our presence will always be registered, irrespective of our numbers. And that is the time that you will know that in case those numbers will not be favoring the interest of Kenyans in parliament, we will go back on the ground. GENZs can always come out together with millennials and still make it right. That supermajority, if you saw the way they were running under the tunnel, then you would have known that there was no majority there. There was the minority. So the next question is about Jimmy Wanjigi. Of course, you talked about Ruto invading Jimmy Wanjigi's privacy. I want to just quote Ruto when he used to say, to paraphrase, he used to ask the former President Uhuru Kenyatta to spare his family, not to kill his children, to spare his children and his family. What is he doing? He's now gone below the belt. He's now targeting people's families. And we want to tell you, you also have families, my friend. Good. Just the same way Moi is now a former president. Kenyatta is a former president. Moi is a former president. Kibaki is a former president. Uhuru is a former president. You are going to be a former president. These children of yours are going nowhere. So do not intimidate people's children. Because when your time reaches, there are those people who will hold the yam and the knife and will give you your share, your fair share. So don't intimidate us. Everybody is going to die. Nobody dies prematurely. So you can't intimidate us with death. Our children already know that we are political leaders. It's not news. Embarrassment is our other name. So don't think that we can be embarrassed by these petty issues. We are going to fight for our people. So I'll leave it at that, then leave it to Mheshimiwa. And lastly, the MPs that you are calling the super majority in parliament, I want to tell you that these MPs already know that the ship is sinking. The ship that Ruto is the captain is already sinking, and they're already taking that. Now we know that you will be clutching very soon on imaginary straws, and you will sink with that ship. Thank you.
Thank you. It looks like all the questions have been answered.
The number one for the petition.
There's
to
one.
Dissolve Parliament.
Oh, there's one for the petition to dissolve Parliament. And that is a proposal, you said, by the Gen Z? Very well. First of all, I want to thank the young people of Kenya. One day, one time, we were also very young. And we did what we did to have this country the way it is today. Some of us actively engaged to make or to constitute the current Kenyan constitution. And we went through the thick of that day. That is why we have this constitution. The young people of Kenya should not shy away from advocating for what they think is right. The young people should not feel guilty for being on the road to present petitions to Parliament, because that is their right as enshrined in the Article 31 of the Kenyan Constitution. The right to present public petitions to public authorities. It is their right. And therefore they should not feel guilty, however painful it is, however hard it is, however difficult it becomes. The young people of Kenya should now know that they have the support of members of Parliament like ourselves here. We are no longer going to be intimidated, being accused of, oh, you are funding the GENZs, oh, you are inciting the GENZs, oh, you are the one who is telling the GENZs to do this, because the GENZs are people who are schooled. They went to school, and we actually gave them free primary education. They are using what we gave them to ask and petition for what they constitutionally deserve. So the young people of Kenya have a right to petition Parliament, have a right to petition State House, have a right to petition any public authority if they feel that it is necessary to do so. I honestly think that the kitchen of all problems in this country is Kenyan Parliament. Because it is Kenyan Parliament that make laws that are oppressive. It is Kenyan Parliament that made the faulty, the unconstitutional, the irregular Finance Bill 2023 that has since now been thrown out by the courts. It is the same Parliament that was attempting to make another irregular, unconstitutional Finance Bill 2024, which the greatest people of Kenya rejected. It is the same Parliament that is coming up with other laws like the livestock bill law, the privatization law that they made, and many other very oppressive laws. So if the GENZs feel that it is time for them to petition Parliament, they are welcome. It is within their rights. And we will support them if we so feel they are doing the right thing. So we want to tell the young people of Kenya, we are with you. We will support you. We will stand with you as long as you're making the future of this country better. I would want to be an elderly woman in this country to enjoy what the GENZs are fighting today. And therefore, when I have the energy to do so, I will support them, I will fight for them, I will lobby for them, I will advocate for them, because I think they are doing the right thing. Last but not least, I would want to say this. I don't know what is this obsession President Ruto has with new things. When he came in, he found Linda Mama. He realized Linda Mama, and I don't know how he realized, because he's not a woman. He has never been in a maternity ward. He has never delivered a child. So I don't know what is this obsession he has with removing what he found to bringing what he thinks is new and creating confusion and mess. He found a very good working program called Linda Mama. He collapsed Linda Mama without any public participation and brought some other new packages. Shisha, shui, shu, shui, sha.
Shisha. Linda mpango wa kando.
You know. I don't know what is this obsession he has, that he has now to collapse the old funding model for our universities and bring a new model. And now he has created a whole total confusion. Our children are getting depressed because they don't even know whether they are going to report to school tomorrow. What is this whole obsession of new things? New things? Now, look at where we are right now. We don't have money because we have no operational finance bill. Instead of him finishing old projects, he's now going for new. Everything is new. Everything is new. And he has no money. So where is this obsession coming from? And by the way, I sympathize with my new Minister for Energy. My new Minister for Energy, I really sympathize with him. Bwana Wadai, wacha nikuambie. Hiyo kiatu mevalia kimeandikwa Ruto hapo nyuma. Hiyo kiatu itakuuma mbaya sana. Because the president is now hopping from one county to the other, launching new electricity projects. Where will he get the money from? Atarudi kwa hiyo gari pale juu, ataanza kuambia wananchi, huyu Wadai nilimpatia kazi ya kuweka stima, nikaenda nika-launch stima, lakini yeye hakufanya kazi. Wadai is actually cooked. I sympathize with him. I sympathize with my friend Babu Mheshimiwa Badi. Huyu wa treasury. Amepatiwa treasury na ni sufuria ambayo ilikuwa na ilikuwa na stew lakini imelambwa. Hakuna. And what the president is doing now is going out promising, oh, I will do this project, I will do this project. Na hakuna pesa. Alafu atarudi kwa hiyo ground come to campaign time. Ataambia watu, wewe huyu Badi nilimpatia kazi, amelemewa. Badi's sufuria is roasted.
And they are not
is
feeling
roasted.
corruption.
Yeah. So anyway, we are summarizing and saying this. This is not the right time for president to go out launching projects. It is the right time for him to sit down, engage stakeholders, look for solutions for the pressing problems, and look for new ways of raising revenue for this country. He must engage. And there's somebody who asked me when I was coming here, now that you people are complaining things are not right, what solutions are you giving? What alternative solutions are you giving? Now listen to me. There is no way the president will be roaming from one country to the other looking for jobs for our young people. But if you ask him for a database of how many engineers do you have in your country, tell me whether there is any database. If you went and found a request for how many mechatronics engineers do you have, we don't have a national database. What we want as representative for young people is this. The government must put effort to come up with a national database of unemployed young people of this country, county by county. We must be able to know how many teachers are unemployed from the young people, how many doctors are unemployed, how many engineers, how many lawyers. All that database needs to be put in place so that when we are speaking from a point of information. When he's going to negotiate country by country, he has a database. And that is what he should be running with MPs to actually help him to create a national database for the job gap. Number two, we have what we call National Employment Authority. That is an agency that is created by the government under the Ministry of Labor that has failed this country. We need to start thinking of how we can revamp the National Employment Authority so that we can provide a better way of preparing the jobless young people into assimilation into the jobs. How do we do that? By making sure that the National Employment Authority has offices in every county. so that people in my county, Kiambu, can actually access the offices at the county level, register themselves, and get to know what opportunities are there. Right now, the only person who tells us that there are jobs being advertised, for example, in other countries, is only the president on top of his car. The young people of Kenya don't know where to go to look for that kind of information. So we need these authorities' offices in every county. Last but not least, all the local employers in this country, the manufacturers, like the people who work under the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, the people who have a capacity to employ our people here in Kenya, we need to engage them so that we know how can we work with them partnership so that they can start absorbing our local people, even if it is on an apprenticeship program or attachment program. For example, if we came up with a program and said, we have 3,000 employers in this country, manufacturers, people who are manufacturing locally, and they have the capacity to employ young people. We give them some tax incentives. A tax intensive that you say, Karibu Mheshimiwa, that if you absorb, for example, 5 young people in your company, you will enjoy this amount of tax subsidy or incentive from the government. So we need to start thinking of how we can partner local manufacturers, local traders, local employers. We give them some tax rebates so that they can be able to accommodate more young people in this country. Otherwise, the issue of joblessness is a very serious issue. The president of Kenya will not sort out the issue of unemployment by bringing Raila, Odinga, or whoever else in cabinet or in government, because that is an economic problem that will not be sorted out through political remedies. Thank you very much. Mheshimiwa amefika, wacha aseme jambo.
Atuambie vile wenye kuuza ndengu.
Unataka kuniuliza mimi?
Bila license watalipa 1 million. Ndengu.
Sorry?
Thanks to the High Court, the road maintenance levy that was increased by 7 shillings has been nullified until, of course, the case is heard and determined. But there's a new proposal by Kenya on tolling the major roads. What do you say of
that? I just want to comment on that issue. If you want to put toll stations all over, please build the new roads and put the toll stations instead of putting toll stations already in roads already constructed by the taxpayers' money. So that is an issue that is not supposed to even to arise. All the existing roads we are demanding, we are not going to have toll stations on the same.
And why do you want to charge private citizens of Kenya, why do you want to charge them to use public roads that they contributed money and they're even paying through loans? So this is the principle of double jeopardy, where you are charged double. You are charged taxes to build that road, or a loan is taken and you pay for that road, and at the same time, to pass through that road, you have to pay for it. So generally, you should not be charged for using your own road. Which country charges its own citizens who are poor to use a road? Imagine. Honestly speaking, even walking, even moving, it doesn't want us to move. So anakudharau while you are dead, non-living, na anakudharau while you are also moving. We understand that, Ruto, we know you very well. You don't respect human beings, maybe because of your background. You did botany. We know that when we give you a leaf, you are only concerned about stomata. That is why you want to plant 10 billion trees. You are concerned about the apex of a leaf, the midrib, the stalk of a leaf, the stomata, the chlorophyll, and the pollination of a plant. And grafting. So honestly, respect human beings. So, Mheshimiwa, you can talk about something in 1 minute and then we... Does it still exist?
Yeah.
Still there?
Actually, as a member of Special Funds Committee, we are out in the audit report for this financial year to see how Hustler Fund has really performed. But based on, as an economist and also an auditor, in terms of accounting, I can tell you we are going to have an adverse opinion on that fund, because even the modality, the board was not there when it was starting, the fund was unconstitutional, There's nothing much actually to comment on the same, but I thank the Kenyans who took the money.
And by the way, on that note, like I was talking about the newness of things, I don't know what is this issue that President of Kenya has with women of Kenya. I really don't know what the president has with the women of Kenya. I don't know why and what justification he would ever give to the women of Kenya. First of all, for touching on Leader Mama and collapsing it, and then touching on the Women Enterprise Fund. Right now, as we speak, the Women Enterprise Fund is at zero kitty. All the money that was put there in the last year's budget, it was all removed. So the women of Kenya have nothing else other than to dance in the yellow clothing during campaigns. But after campaigns, everything that the women of Kenya had in this government has been scrapped off. And that is why, personally as a woman, I'm a very, very vibrant advocate of women issues. I feel like Kenya Kwanza government has zero chills for Kenyan women.
Yes. Na tuna reject.
I think we are okay. Tunashukuru sana for your time.